Over the weekend, 12 children were killed in an attack on a soccer field in Majdal Shams in the Golan Heights in the Middle East. Israel and the US say Hezbollah is responsible, which Hezbollah denies. In today's deep dive, we'll explain the history of Hezbollah and what this attack could mean for the region's stability.
Lucy, it's been almost 10 months since Hamas attacked Israel, who declared war and launched their campaign in Gaza. Now there's talk of another war, this time between Israel and Hezbollah. International leaders are issuing urgent calls for calm and de-escalation. It feels like we're sort of reaching a boiling point on this story. But Lucy, what has actually happened in the last few days? Can you give us the context that brings us to this point?
Early Sunday morning, our time, a rocket struck a soccer field in the Golan Heights, killing 12 children. I'll explain more about the region where this attack took place in a moment, but first what you need to know is that the Israeli and US governments both say this was carried out by Hezbollah, a group based in Lebanon that Australia lists as a terrorist organisation. They, however, deny they were responsible.
So we'll get a little bit more into the weekend's developments, but Lucy, what can you tell me about Hezbollah?
Hezbollah is derived from the Arabic term Hezbollah, which translates to Party of God. The group was established after Israel's invasion of Lebanon in 1982 during Lebanon's civil war. Israel officially withdrew from Lebanon in 2000. There have been two major conflicts between Hezbollah and Israel in the last 30 years, in 1996 and 2006. Both of these ended in ceasefires. Hezbollah has been responsible for a number of attacks against Israel and its Western allies, including a 1983 suicide bombing targeting US and French troops in Lebanon's capital city of Beirut, which left 305 people dead, and a 1994 bombing on a Jewish cultural center in Buenos Aires, Argentina, that killed 85 people.
So a lot of history, a lot of conflict.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of Hezbollah's goals, what do we actually understand about its sort of mission, if you will?
Hezbollah's manifesto, so that's a public declaration of its aims, calls for the destruction of Israel and the creation of an Iran-like Islamic state in Lebanon. Of course, Iran is the Islamic Republic of Iran. And another important point of context, while Hezbollah is based in Lebanon, Iran supports the group in the form of training, funding, and arms.
You mentioned two wars a little earlier on, but in terms of the kind of current context, the state of the relationship between Hezbollah and Israel, why we are talking about this story and its escalation now, what do we need to know about Hezbollah and Israel?
So the biggest thing I would say is that shortly after Hamas's 7 October attack on Israel, Hezbollah declared, quote, "Our souls are with you, our history and guns and our rockets are with you," referring to Hamas. It's since fired around 2,000 drones and missiles into Israel. In the last 2 months, the Israeli Defense Forces, the IDF, have killed 2 senior Hezbollah commanders in Lebanon and fired rockets into Lebanon, killing at least 90 civilians since October. In response, Hezbollah vowed to, quote, "increase the intensity, strength, quantity, and quality of our attacks."
So that brings us up to speed to the last few days. The US and Israel both say that Sunday's attack on the soccer field was by Hezbollah. They have denied that they were responsible for that attack. So what do we know about the circumstances?
A soccer field in the town of Majdal Shams was hit with a rocket while children were playing, just seconds after an air raid siren had played. Israel says Hezbollah is the only group in the region to use the kind of rocket that struck the soccer field, although again, Hezbollah denies responsibility. 12 children were killed in the strike and several others were injured. I mentioned the town where this took place earlier, Majdal Shams. That's in an area called the Golan Heights, which has been under Israeli control since 1967. Syria fought to take it back in 1973 before Israel officially annexed it in 1981. Under the Trump administration, the US became the first country to formally recognize this area as being part of Israel, but other members of the UN Security Council have condemned this decision and they officially called it the Occupied Syrian Golan. The key point is that Israel considers this part of its territory, which means now the eyes of the world are really on how the Israeli government will respond to this attack.
How has it responded so far? What have we heard from Israel?
Within the Israeli government, there's this core decision-making group called the Security Cabinet. It's a committee of senior government members, allies of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, including some of the far-right members of the coalition that he leads the government with.
This is the same Security Cabinet that was recently dissolved and then reformed because of criticism for Netanyahu's leadership. Is that the same one?
Yes. So the Security Cabinet is the new version. There was the War Cabinet for the first few months of the war.
Got it.
That dissolved. Now there's the Security Cabinet. In a post to X, Netanyahu said the Security Cabinet had given the government the go-ahead to, quote, decide on the manner and timing of its response to the attack, and named Hezbollah.
There have been long-running international concerns about the potential for conflict between Israel and Hezbollah to intensify. Would you say, Lucy, that particularly over the last couple of months that has really ramped up?
Yes. I mentioned earlier that the IDF had killed 2 senior Hezbollah commanders. In response to that, Hezbollah's leader Hassan Nasrallah said if Lebanon goes to war, quote, the resistance will fight. Around the same time, Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz said, quote, in an all-out war, Hezbollah will be destroyed and Lebanon will be severely hit. That really concerned UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres, who said that, quote, one rash move could trigger a catastrophe that goes far beyond the border and frankly beyond imagination. So these concerns have been raised before, including by, on Friday, Canada's PM Justin Trudeau, New Zealand's Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, our Prime Minister Anthony Albanese issued a joint statement urging an end to, quote, escalation of hostilities and rhetoric between Hezbollah and Israel. And they said that any further conflict puts tens of thousands of lives at risk.
Some really strong words from the international community. A lot of fear around this potential escalation of conflict and predictions about what the fallout from that could look like. So what happens now? Could Israel go to war with Hezbollah at the border of Lebanon?
It's entirely possible. Newswire Reuters reports Netanyahu said in December that if Hezbollah started a war with Israel, the IDF would turn Beirut into Gaza. That's very, very strong language from Netanyahu there, given what we know about the Gaza Strip. Guterres has also used that language to describe the possibility of a new war in the Middle East. A couple of months ago, he said, quote, the people of the region and the people of the world cannot afford Lebanon to become another Gaza.
So as you've touched on, he's referring there, of course, to the fact that Israel's war against Hamas in Gaza has caused this humanitarian crisis that's unfolding as we speak. So I want to take it back a little bit to that conflict. What's the latest from the Gaza Strip?
Early Sunday morning our time, just hours before the Majdal Shams attack, the Gaza Health Ministry said the IDF had bombed a school in central Gaza, killing at least 30 people, mostly children. The IDF said they were targeting a Hamas command centre. While ceasefire negotiations are reportedly ongoing, there's no sign of an end yet to this conflict or its devastation on civilians in Gaza.
Lucy, thank you so much for breaking that one down for us. A really, really complicated topic, but as always, you've taken us through and helped us unpack it all. We will, of course, be watching these developments closely and continue to keep you updated on the Daily Aus. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. If you learnt something, please give us a like or a follow or a review. Make sure that you're subscribed if you're watching us on our YouTube channel. And if you found this episode helpful, maybe send it on to a friend. It really helps us keep doing what we're doing here at the Daily Aus and get the word out about our content. We'll be back again tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.